Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine and I have this really fun, easy, masculine card today using Distess Oxide inks. So these are relatively new to the market. They've been kind of hard to get because everybody wants them, and I'm going to do some ink dipping today. This technique is not new, it's from the original Distess line, but it's really fun the effects you can get with these oxides because of the way they dry. So you smush some ink onto your craft mat. I'm using a non-stick craft sheet, and that way it doesn't absorb anything. It just sits on the surface. You can pick it up with your paper. And as you can see, you can kind of let the water work and let it move around to see where you get the concentration of color. And then as you dry, you can go back in and get different blobs in different spots. And the interesting thing about the oxides is that when you heat dry it, it doesn't reactivate. So with the traditional Distess, if you heat dry it and then dip it back in, it will reactivate the color underneath. With these, it doesn't do that. So it makes it a lot easier to layer color without it going muddy and without you getting too much blending. Now, if you use the colors wet, they will blend, and they blend beautifully. But sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want the layered speckled look, which is what I was doing with this project. I wanted to see what kind of effects I could get and how they would turn out. So this was kind of an experiment, but I really, really loved how it turned out. And I think it's perfect for a masking card, especially if your guys are outdoorsy types. So you'll see how I end up using this in the end. So I've started with Spiced Marmalade, and then the next color I'm going to go in with is Fossilized Amber. So starting with the orange color, there's only 12 colors in the set right now, but I'm expecting them to release more colors because these have been so popular, and they are a lot of fun. So as you can see, where the two colors have met on the paper, it's not reactivating the orange. The yellow is allowed to sit on top and show through as yellow without there being too much blending between the two. And you can add as much or as little ink as you want to your cardstock with this. It's not going to, I used watercolor paper with this because I knew I was going to be using a lot of water. But it's not going to affect how the colors blend. So I kind of used my paper with the water to kind of guide the directions of the concentration of color. And then I just kept dipping and seeing what happened. And I also like this technique because there's not a lot of waste. And the oxides also dry fairly quickly, surprisingly. I figured they would stay wet longer, but they actually dry pretty quickly, especially once you get your heat tool on them. It dries quicker than the regular Distess does. And I assume that has to do with the pigment ink that's in there. So the next color I'm going to go in with is the Broken China. And I really wanted to see if I would get a ton of blending, and I did not. And I was very excited about that because sometimes you want blue and yellow and not blue, green, and yellow. But with the regular Distess, you would definitely get green. And with these, because I dried the yellow first, it did not reactivate when the wet blue ink got on top of it. This is especially helpful if you're doing something like a sunset scene where you want the difference between the blue water and the yellow sun. You don't want a green cast in there. So I broke out some faded jeans because I wanted a little more depth to my blue area. And I'm also very careful about how much water I use so that it doesn't water the color down too much. But I've noticed with the oxides, it's kind of hard to do that. They maintain their vibrancy and their opacity even when adding water. So I was glad to see that. A lot of your inks, once you add water to them, they kind of fade out a little bit, and these don't. So you can see on the top where I got some blue spots on the yellow, they didn't turn green, they stayed blue. And that was surprising. I assumed that I would get some greenish looking stuff, and I didn't. So I was happy about that too. So to finish up this card, I ended up running this panel through my die cutting machine using an MFT Wonky Stitches die to give it a finished edge. And then I used a die by Simon Says Stamp called Tree Outline to give it just a little interest, not too much. And that pretty much finished off my card perfectly, especially for the masculine design. So I ended up adding a sentiment and a banner and called it good. So there's the finished project right there. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you think, and we will catch you guys later. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.